So they have a problem of high cost manufacturer with a low cost, high value competitor on the horizon. So then they do some strategizing and say we have to reduce our cost. And then, as we discussed a little earlier, there are several ways of reducing cost. All right. What way did they choose? What they'll probably do when you want to strategize, what will you do? You'll probably do a ABC analysis, is it not? Saying that these are our cost drivers, list them out. These are the costs where about 80% of our cost is accounted by these items. So let's attack these items first, because even a 10% reduction on this will be a total 8% reduction of total costs, which is significant. They might have done that kind of analysis, but you have to do that analysis. After doing the analysis, what did they decide? What will reduce the cost?
Competitive disadvantage that they have too many products, too many designs, which too much of different things. So one of their prime objective was to reduce the number of designs.
Okay. So one thing they found is their objective is to lower their cost. Okay? Lower cost. Then they said how? This is where the strategizing started. How? First is rationalize the design. Does it say so anywhere? Can you read it out?
Central type of car platform.
It comes in to ensure that the company is capable of implementing the vision of Ford 2000. Tottenham is aggressively investing in new vehicle platforms that can carry over more parts from one model to another.
That means what? Standardization. Is it not standardization?
Yes, sir.
All right. So one, standardization of parts. You know, when you design products, this is one thing the design engineer has to bear in mind all the time, whether it's cars or switchgear or anything. You will be amazed at each designer when he designs, even fasteners, nuts, screws and washers, bolts, all right, studs. You have hundreds of such varieties, each with a part number. In the warehouse you procure it separately. Look at the enormous cost that is added. And yes?
You meant to say earlier Ford did not standardize its part.
It seems so. Because in Europe they were making designs of cars smaller on different platforms, okay, and they were selling those cars. In America they were making cars on different platforms which were bigger, and there doesn't seem to be any interaction, any interlinking between the parts which were used, the models that were used, because they were customer oriented with good reason. When they took this decision, this must have been the right decision with the competitive forces in the marketplace at that time. They made good profits.
Because the need for the cars was different in Europe.
Right. If you see after the World War, what had happened is the automotive industry in Europe and England had been mainly destroyed. So the Americans moved in fast to fill the gap. Then when they moved in fast, then they said, all right, the best thing to do is let's see what the customer wants here. They don't want the kind of cars we make in America, so let's give them what they want. And the best way to do it is to focus on this customer. So it was customer focused. For this customer they made products. They were really not concerned with what were the products being made in North America, because there the requirement of customers was different. So I do not think there was standardization of parts. That is why Alex Trotman said one of the ways of reducing the cost significantly is standardize the parts, and you save significant amount on costs. Any other questions? Yeah.
Can we say the strategy code as well
people just after World War II were short-sighted purely because they never anticipated that running a geographical organization wherein they will have to incur separate costs for R&D and design.
I don't think it's short-sighted, but I want to hear opinions of others, and I'll justify my thinking also. Do you think it's short-sighted? Nityasi, what is your view?
I think it was.
Was short-sighted?
Yes.
Why?
They did not anticipate by setting up different standards for both the different continents. They probably did not anticipate the scales of the operations in future. They should have anticipated that.
But how many years can you anticipate in advance? I'm asking you. One more. Let's take this to a logical conclusion. For planning, you see, remember one thing. A plan is made against two yardsticks. One is the present status, and second is the predicted status over a period of time. Now, as you know, the more you go into the future, the less perfect is your prediction. So earlier, they used to have 5-year plans. When we started strategic planning in Lec-2, it was a 10-year plan. Then later on it became 5-year. Now most companies do a 3-year. Because beyond 3 years, the pace of change has increased, has accelerated so much. Beyond 3 years, they say it's just not relevant because things change totally. So now, you do it with a predicted situation of the market, 3 years or 5 years ahead, and then you also do it with the present state. Now, my submission to you is, I don't fault the planning if, with the plan adopted then, they made good profits and good money for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, till the new phenomenon of low cost, high value Japanese car came. Because it took Japan time to build their auto industry. It was a Marshall Plan, no? Basically, the war destroyed the economies of Japan, mainly Europe, Germany and so on. So then that was a strategic decision taken by America, basically, and the allies, that you must rebuild them so that they don't become a liability. I mean, they've got the expertise and the know-how, give them financial help and rebuild. But in the process also, of course, they took over quite a bit of the economy in Europe. You know, every American business moved in. They acquired plants, they set up business there. Now, I think the test is, did they make money with this structure and this division of European division? If the answer is yes, I think it was a good plan to start with. But no plan has an indefinite life. And the reason is simple, because you are embedded in a market which constantly is in turbulence and turmoil. So you have to keep watching what is happening in the market. Sometimes we call this environmental scanning, and some authorities say, in fact, for top management, environmental scanning and planning is the main part of the job, not involving in operations. Yeah.
So while formulating the strategy, should not they have kept in mind that any entry of the competitors? They should have always.
How will you keep it in mind?
In fact, formulating a strategy.
Accepting without admitting for the present that you should do it. How do you plan? Tell me practically that there will not be a competitor. Say you and I form a company that we are going to make these pens because we have a new process, we have patented it, and gives us a terrific cost advantage. Alright? So we estimate our cost will be half of what the existing guys do with the technology, right? And we can charge a little lower than the going price which they charge, so we have a big margin to support our profits. How do we plan that there will be no competitor coming a year later who has a better technology than us or some other unique advantage? Can we plan that? How? You tell me. If we could plan, of course we should take it into account, and we will be foolish not to. But how do we do that? Because it's in constant, everyone is jockeying for an advantage, aren't they? Every player in the field is doing his best to find some competitive advantage. Today we have found it. I think what we decide, you and I, We make this investment, we make this money over the next 5 years. We make a plan. And it's good. Why should we get bogged down in trying to say, look, there may be 10 competitors who will come, or 20 competitors, or no competitors. Why should we do that? Convinced, not convinced? No? Convinced, good.
So Ford set up its plant in Europe in the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah.
It was within a few years the Japanese entered the market too. I think they should have anticipated. I still stick by my.
Okay.
They set up the plants in Europe
and
in
done
the
what?
70s, and they should have anticipated that there are new players coming in. So they should have tried to make their operations more efficient. In the sense that they should, these things like duplication of parts and all, they could have looked into it before itself.
Well, as I say, there are no right or wrong answers here. This is a classroom debate to bring out points. Maybe they should have anticipated at that time. Yes, you were saying something? Huh?
I think it was sort of exit strategy, because suppose the plant failed over there. Since the plant was very much geared to what the requirements of car will be in Europe, if the demand for Ford's car were not that much in Europe, they might have sold it to a European car company. Because
I'll say it's also given that
No, how do you react to this? They say he says that they planned for exit policy when they started. They said we must make such a plant out here. There's a point he's trying to make. Have you understood? What is the point? Tell me. One moment, no cross talk. Huh?
Over a period of a few years, competitors would come in.
Right.
So at that time, Ford would be in a position to, it has reaped profits over a period of time, and when the competitors they come in and they are not able to compete against those competitors, they would exit the market. Sell the
if the cost of exit is too high.
The dealer network that is set up, you should not.
why not?
Do you make strategy for exiting?
You always have a contingency plan just in case it fails.
So how can we make a strategy for exiting when we are entering the market? That seems quite odd. Why
No,
exactly
pe-
we are entering if we
People
keep in mind-
do. I can tell you, when we set up a factory in Faridabad, L&T switchgear, we had exactly that, because it was fraught with lots of labor problems in those days, you know. I'm talking of the late 70s, militant labor and so on. So our strategy which we did is we won't set up manufacturing, we'll first set up assembly. Okay, we'll stage all the parts for the switchgear from Bombay, send it by truck, assemble it, test it and sell it. And no heavy infrastructure investment will be done there. So that if we have to exit quickly, just simply close the plant and move out, we cut our losses. So no testing facilities, you know, off type testing, because that will be heavy investments.
We never made a heavy investment. Here,
It wasn't that they were shipping.
So I'm only supporting him. I'm supporting him that sometimes you do building an exit policy, even when you make an investment. You do it. You look at all the forts which were built in the old days. In the Sahyadri, you know, Maharashtra, you have all Shivaji Maharaj forts. All of them had a tunnel. It was literally an exit policy when they built the fort. That if you had to give up the fort, you know, then you could at least.
He never made Ford to make profits.
He did. What did he do it for? When you rule, you collect taxes, my friend. Isn't it? It's all about money. And I repeat this. That's why we have subject called economics and political science. They go hand in hand. You do politics, you do economics, they are same coin with two different sides. They are inextricably linked.
And so there's another point on which I think is by the time that when they entered
European market. Japanese had not even entered US market. So I don't think they could have anticipated the kind of cost reduction Japanese companies had probably achieved. So considering that it was short-sightedness, but you cannot look for each and every possible outcome. So So probably
What Japanese did was outstanding, sir.
yeah, what Japanese did was an innovation which you probably could not expect from each and every player.
It happened only in 80s.
So Japanese did an innovation by people management,
Yes.
basically. Not so much due to technology, because even today, remember, the technological fountainhead of the world is still America. But what the Japanese did, they took that technology, adapted it, used it to make products which were cheaper and high quality. That was the Japanese miracle. The image they had after the war of basically copies, duplicates and shoddy products, they dramatically changed that in 2 decades. And more drama is because those pundits, like Baldrige, Deming, who are accepted as gurus and Japanese would touch their feet, they were not accepted in their own country, America. Americans woke up when the Japanese accepted them. They really said that they are the people who have helped our country because we have followed what they told us to do in terms of quality. Yeah, there we are something like the Americans. No prophet, they say, is accepted in his own country. So if you do some wonders here, we don't accept in India. When you go abroad and in abroad you are acclaimed, then we always fate you and bring you and so on. Give you a dual passport. Okay.
Excuse me, this standardization of parts, why should they give a
Significant cost advantage. Basically, standardization means Europe is
Alright, good question. This is a very generic question. Why should standardization of parts give a significant cost advantage? Anyone can answer that.
You don't have to design.
Yeah, you don't have to design
I think apart from design, it is the administrative cost of ordering, warehousing, alright, and disposing. Is the inventory carry.
Factories are located different places in the world.
Plus, not only stocking, but scheduling, planning. Those of us who has been in the scheduling function and the production planning function, it's a nightmare to see that sometimes you have the whole assembly which is held up because of 2 types of studs or bolts. Because high tensile strength, we have 2 vendors, both have failed. So it's a nightmare. So standardization saves you costs, not so much design. Because once you design, it's sunk cost. Design cost is sunk. But essentially inventory carrying and operational cost, which is opportunity cost. Delays of assemblies, sub-assemblies or even the main assembly.
No. What I mean standardization means standardization part compared to standard American design and European design. These are in separate factories actually.
No. So what is Alex Trotman saying now? He's saying let's build platforms which A gives economies of scale. I don't know, you should say all this. He is also trying for economies of scale, is he not? Large volumes. He is trying to centralize now. Is he not trying to do that? Earlier, what was it? What was the organization structure earlier? So it was a geographical structure, okay? Geographical structure. And now what are they trying to make it into?
One single product.
It's a product worldwide, but different platforms. Okay? Some of these platforms will be in Europe, but not only for European clients. It will be for other clients also. Similarly in America. Yeah.
Sir, earlier you raised a question regarding the word focus. You said that, focus might not give the whole picture. Now, with respect to Michael Porter's model,
Yes.
can you say that the initial problem that Ford faced was due to extensive differentiation focus? Because they had, at one point of time, they had around 82 models with totally different features, distinct features. So, and they let too much of differentiation focus led to their undoing initially. Can you say that?
You might be able to say that. Because if the plan was taken 82 models, each for a little segment of the market, if that is so, then you might say And Michael Porter, if you read the whole book, he also says that you should not try to focus on everything, because then by definition you are defeating the whole purpose of focus. You see, focus is something which are niche. Now, I don't know on what basis they chose it, but big companies, they proliferate it, you know. There are several reasons for it. See, one standard argument which is put forward by vice presidents and all. You see, we are a big company, we are Ford. So we must have the entire range of products, you know. We should be a one-stop shop. Anyone comes in, what do you want? Hey, you want a small car? Right, we have it. You want a big car? We have it. You want a macho car? We have it. This is the kind of reason which is giving. Remember, all decisions in industries are not taken based on a rigorous analysis, right, and a very informed and deliberate type of decision making process. We learned something about group decision making, did we not? What happens really? You wrote some short notes on group think. Group think. Now you see what is happening. See how everything is tied up. All we try to teach you in this curriculum. What happens typically, you know, when a presentation is made? It's a big important meeting. Everyone comes suited and all that. So they have to decide today whether to bring out the new model for the new market. So lovely presentation everyone made. Then the pecking order is there. You know, the big boss is sitting on one side. The next to him, you know, he's sitting, and the junior guys are sitting, you know, but they are still the expert power, you know. The designer, he actually designed, he's sitting there. As often as not, these are taken on considerations which is other than analytical considerations. Many of these decisions, believe me, are taken on empire building basis. Empire building, because it's human beings who are there. Who knows? The vice president of Europe may have thought that I am not, you know, I'm not to be toyed with, you know, I have 82 models here, you know, I have so many plants. Do you know that the seniority of executives, okay, in India and elsewhere, even 2 decades ago, before all this crunch and competition came, you know, the design of the process was such that in order to get a promotion, when the recommendation went, I think I mentioned this before, they said how many departments report to him, how many people in the departments, what geographical locations, and people went to ridiculous extent to proliferate departments, because if you wanted your promotion later, you had to show you had more departments, no? More people. How did companies become unproductive? There were some built-in mechanisms which were stupid. Very stupid. Then we try to propagate saying the heroes are those who have lean and mean departments, you know. So you cut out all these annexures which you have to give with the recommendation for promotion. How many department, how many levels, this, that. You proliferate levels then. This is called empire building in management jargon. You build your empires. And the empire you build is good for you in that dispensation, is not good for the company necessarily. So I am saying this only to say there is always human elements which come into decision making. Now in this case, when you are saying, it appears ridiculous on the face of it if you analyze it clinically, that for Europe there are 82 models, I agree. What for? But they had it.
They could not find which was the best-selling model. They experimented again and again.
Yeah, but it's a terribly costly way of experimenting, because you are adding on overheads and costs, no? Imagine the amount of profit would have come if instead of 82 they had 41 models only.
What they say, they had different models because the European countries themselves were quite different and the needs of different markets were different, weather conditions, and so probably even in Europe.
Yeah, you are right, probably that is how it was justified, but at the same time you have to bring in some critical analysis saying, alright, let's do a product audit, which big companies do. Alright, we have 82, let's see how many units were sold of each of these, okay, and per unit what is the margin, because if you have 82 models, each will not have the same margin, the margins will vary also widely, because the costs will vary widely. So having done that, See, good companies, they built it into the system, they discontinue products which are no longer remunerative. And that may be for 2 or 3 reasons. That at the time when the product was made, there was a good potential and a good business happened. But along the way, that business disappeared. But the product remained, unless someone comes and does an audit. It's like files. Have you seen, when you go after 4 years or 2 years from here, you will have such a lot of paper. None of them, I think you will ever need again, but you will like to hoard it up. So once something comes in, you don't like to dispense with it.
Here, the company as part of Vision 2000 has started investing in
newer technologies and initiatives like CARE and CAM.
Okay.
So the company has been doing this because it had seen that some threats were actually surfacing and they were affecting its bottom line.
Right.
So what is the role of a strategist so that he could perceive the threats and see to it that they don't surface as such, and see to it that the company moves smoothly in terms of bottom lines?
The role of a
With respect to
strategist
technology
is to build up a unique advantage for the company. When I say unique, that means other competitors will not have this advantage.
Does it involve the strategist actually anticipating the future technologies and also harnessing them?
Yes, certainly. Of course it involves. It does involve. You cannot do a strategy in vacuum. There is a lot of data which you have to get. You have to get data of forecasts. You have to get data of as is, where is. Is it not?
So my doubt is this actually causes some kind of gaps wherein the company is again seeing that it is in problems. So how does a strategist avoid these gaps? Because the company is not actually able to catch up with the technologies. That's what I perceive right now.
You see, let me give you an example. You probably know that General Motors, about 2 decades ago, they made a massive investment in automating their assembly plants. Do you know about this?
Yes, sir.
Huge investment that came in for a lot of criticism also, because that investment naturally affected the bottom line for a year or 2 or more. And the risk you take when you make heavy investment in automation is that whether the benefits that you project in order to justify the project comes back or it doesn't come back. And the benefits coming back is based on several assumptions, isn't it? First is the volume itself. If you have highly automated plants, you require big volumes flowing through in order to realize the benefit. You don't have the big volumes flowing through, you are sunk. You have sunk your cost and the benefits are not coming. So, when they did that process, it was part of their strategy, no? Thinking that cost is going to become a very important factor. And at that time, if we have economies of scale, we have large volumes, and we make this investment at this time, then our unit manufacturing cost will give us a real unique advantage, and we will be able to grab market share. That was the reasoning. When you set up a plant, all right, or let's put it the other way, when you increase the capacity, say you have one plant, okay, and you are making capacity X, you do a strategizing and say, look, we are today number 2 or number 3 in our industry. We have so much market share. But either we have to be number 1 or 2, 3, 4 is no good, because one day we will be displaced. Now how to become number 1 or number 2? We want more market share. Do we think that we have the business potential in this industry and market? So you survey that, you analyze, yes we have. Then what size of plant shall we build? So you say we will double our capacity. Shall we do it in this location where we are already, or shall we go elsewhere? These are all strategic issues. You say we go elsewhere. Why we go elsewhere? 2 things. That here we don't want to put too many eggs in the same basket. God forbid we have some labor problem, we have some lockout, at least one plant will be operating. But then you have a doubt and say, how do you know? Maybe the new plant will join this old plant union. So if you have a lockout, it will affect both plants. But anyway, we can, then you say, all right, there is a benefit, backward region benefit, you know. Most of the states want to have industry in India. they give incentives, deferral of sales tax or waiver of sales tax, which throws up more cash flow for you, your liquidity position is better. So we say we have that. So initially our cost of manufacture will be lower. Then we say also we will take new people, we will take trainees and young people, whereas in this plant we have average profile of workmen which is 45 years or 50 years. They are all highly skilled or skilled workmen. What? Kalyan, these are real life problems, no? When you start new, you take youngsters, you pay them a good salary by industry cum region principle, but much lower than what you are paying to your people in the mother plant. So with all these considerations, you put in 50 crore, you start a plant of 100 crore. And then what happens? The predictions of the industry that the compounded average rate of growth is going to be 15% or 10% just doesn't fructify. Okay, various things happen. America declares war on Iraq. Okay, these are imponderables of business. Okay, the excise and the customs duty, the structure changes. We are joining WTO. We thought that government is not going to reduce the customs duty on these components, you see, but they do it on the finished goods. So we have more competition coming in from outside. So all these things started happening. Net result is you have put in 50 crore. In your project report, you have said that the revenues will come in with these sales. So many units will be sold at this price. It doesn't happen. So this factory, when you do this division, it's a loss. Okay, now where does the loss show up? On your company's balance sheet. Okay, so this division loss is reflected on the bottom line of your company. And then what happens? You go to the annual general meeting and shareholders say you made the wrong decision. Where is our dividend? Says, this year we can't give dividend. We have to be prudent and all that, you see. So last year we gave you only 25%. This year we are giving 10%. And there is halla gulla in the AGM. So these are the real issues. So you can plan, but in every plan there is a business risk. Our attempt, why we hire MBAs in industry, they at least tell us all this, The analytical part, the MBAs at least should be well equipped to do, but not only that. You must see the broader issues. And broader issues are sometimes very, very practical issues, and they are all human related issues. So, standardization of parts is one. Exit policy has been thrown out, by the way. People didn't accept it. What else?
Reorganization of the total company structure.
Restructuring. Restructuring. What else?
Infusion of new technology.
Acquisition. Where? What does it say?
Europe and Asia. January 99.
Tell me.
In January 99, Ford purchased the automobile business of Volvo of Sweden,
Yes.
thus helping Ford compete more effectively in the upper range of the mid-sized car market.
When do you acquire and when do you build? Tell me. General principle, do you know? You always have a choice. You can acquire or you can build.
So when the plane you are acquiring, it has expertise in particular field, and you don't want to invest in acquiring that expertise.
And you don't want to go through the process of learning all the way from scratch.
When you don't have time,
When you don't have time. Yes.
Potential players.
When you don't have time. It can be on various planes. Maybe you have a technology which is obsolete in compared to the another company. So if you acquire the company, it becomes yours. Otherwise it never becomes yours. And it becomes yours at a price which is acceptable to you. If you have to redo that, you have to make heavy investments in time, in money and so on. So this is one. On technology front. On marketing front, maybe they have a network and distributors which are very, very extensive and large, and by the act of acquisition, you immediately acquire that. Maybe they have got, you see, undervalued assets, in the sense they have huge land, which they have got. Like Godrej, when they first set up business in Bombay, massive land they had. So maybe they have that, which itself, see, a land is carried on your balance sheet at the acquisition price, unless it is revalued sometimes, but usually not. So this is a hidden asset which is lying right there. Acquiring it, you get it. So there are many considerations by which you decide. And another thing is to grow fast. Time is very important. So these are some of the advantages. What are the disadvantages? Tell me.
You have to pay more. You have to pay more.
I don't know. Sometimes if you may get a smart deal, you may not pay more than if you have to get all these advantages on your own after 5 years of slugging.
As such, what will be the value of the company? You have to pay more than that. Only then that person will probably be ready to sell that company.
True, but if the company is not doing well, the management is poor, you have very good companies where just because of poor management, they don't do well. Any other reason? What are the problems of acquisition? Immediate, here and now. Cultural integration.
Duplication.
Cultural integration is a big problem. So you have to have good HR guys, MBMs from Vinod Gupta School of Management, to tackle those problems. A with union, B with your managerial staff, and net you have to do it without demoralizing your own people, of the parent company.
If you are acquiring as a separate division as such, then does this cultural problem will be so severe that it will be there definitely. Take for example, Aditya Birla Group acquired this Indore.
Yeah.
Took it as a separate division. So you get sufficient amount of time for that.
No, it depends on what the employees see as a threat or an opportunity, is it not? That's the key, I think. If all employees in Indal felt that is good for us because our salary scales are low, now we have opportunity. The Birla salary scales are higher, so we'll be fitted. Number two, we were at dead end because our company was not growing. So middle management will feel now we have opportunity to get higher promotions if we do well in Birla company. Okay. On the other hand, if they perceive a threat, that the Birlas will feel that we don't want so many people to start with, right? So we are going to have a VRS. Are they going to be happy? No. Say they perceive a threat, the Birlas really want to strip some assets. These are all perceptions. That means they'll sell off this land, they'll sell off this number of flats in Malabar Hill and so on, and just get a few crores. Then it's not good for the company. So I think it all depends on the handling which the acquiring management does to build up positive feelings about their company with the company which is being acquired. But usually there is always a demoralization. When Standard Chartered acquired Greenlace Bank, I remember I have some accounts with Greenlace Bank. I used to go and I noticed a perceptible change, if all the people in the bank, retail office. So I asked the manager and a few others, casually, what has happened? Now Standard Chartered is taken, how do you think and all? And it all came pouring out. They didn't feel good at all. They felt, that they have been acquired means they have lost their status and their position and so on. So all these things happen. So this is one of the costs of acquiring. But that doesn't mean to say that you don't acquire, because there are many companies who have a strategy of growth simply by acquisition, fast acquisition. There are other companies who don't believe in it. They believe in building their own. Okay. Ambani's, for instance, they have not acquired too many companies. The major investments they have done is their own. Okay. So what did they want to achieve finally? What was the objective of this strategy for Ford? One objective is match costs of competitors, at least match, if not lower, right? Second objectives.
Become a global giant.
What does it say? Does it state any objective? Did they have it as a growth? Was growth an objective? Growth of the company. Market share was there. What does it say? More responsive to change. That means they looked beyond the immediate threat.
Enter new markets with a strategic alliance with
Enter new markets means growth. So growth was definitely. When you want to grow, as we just discussed, we have two routes. We have the acquisition route, which is faster, etc., etc. And you can set up plants also there, isn't it? So growth was one. And what was just said, they wanted to be nimble. That means they wanted to position themselves in such a way, have an attitude change, where in the next phase, let's say 5 years hence, they could change fast, and respond fast to any other major threats or opportunities which came into the market. That was another objective which they had. So I am calling it style. Style is a product of culture, style of operation. And if you want to change the style, you have to change the culture. And there are many ways of changing the culture. You can do it by OD, organizational development, that is people-oriented interventions. You can do it by restructuring, okay, that is systemic changes. You can also do it by personnel changes. Take out the old guard, bring in young people, dynamic people, or old people who are very dynamic. Take out young people who are not so dynamic. Okay? We always associate old with non-dynamism and young with dynamism, right? It's a fallacy. It's not true all the time. Okay. Any other questions? Otherwise we will wind down this session. So anyone would like to summarize the learning points here? Why did this say? Someone who has not spoken today. Who hasn't spoken? Who hasn't spoken today? Huh? Yeah, come. Where is Sengupta? What is the learning point? Remember the theme here is we had a little bit of a strategy followed by implementation. So it's about implementation. What are the points we have learned of how to implement a strategy?
First of all, we need to watch the mood of the market. What is the present? What is present? What is the threat? Basically, it's a SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, opportunity, threat. And after doing that, we have to predict what is coming, what is in future, and what mistakes we have committed in the past. So on the basis of that, we have to pinpoint the past flaws and the measures those are needed to rectify them. Like here in the fourth case, we have this standardization, restructuring, acquisition in order to lower costs, to fulfill the objective, to face the competition. So this is a continuous process. That is one point. And number two is in order to compete and retain the leadership or become the market leader, you have to continuously innovate yourself and continuously also assess the competitor. That is more important. So that is what we have learned.
Okay, good. Anyone wants to add anything? No. So for the next class, next week, you will have to do a little reading of Michael Porter, competitive strategy. Right. That is important to know the analysis. How do you analyze? Do you have any textbooks in the library?
No, sir.
You don't have? The books which we have given as learning material, these books are not there? Okay, we'll get some. I'll tell Professor Ray to buy 2 copies of at least Michael Porter's book and the book from which Professor Day is teaching, all right? Yeah. Okay.
Only first chapter was a bench.
Right then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a nice day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
How the